It's a birthday bash 150 years in the making as the Nebraska State Fair celebrates agriculture in a big way. Whether livestock or baking pie, 4-H evolves to meet the needs of today's youth on and off the farm. And we'll see how some try to find a balance between rural and urban around Grand Island. And much more from Nebraska agriculture leaders coming up. Welcome to the Nebraska State Fair. Much more than corn dogs and funnel cakes, it's a celebration of agriculture. This is Nebraska's 150th anniversary and the 8th state fair to take place in Grand Island at the new facilities at Fauner Park. Folks in agriculture say the fair has made a concerted effort to put agriculture at the forefront of this fair, and it shows.
I think the state fair has done a wonderful job of promoting agriculture. We were noticing coming in this morning just how many more trees and grass there is, but there's so much about production agriculture. The Raised in Nebraska really helps showcase agriculture and how diverse it is and how important it is for the state of Nebraska.
Yeah, the disconnect between basic American agriculture seems to be growing all the time, and I think the young people as well as the open class people here do a great job of demonstrating what makes agriculture important and how essential it is that we maintain it and promote it through a facility and a venue that we've got here.
Things kicked off with opening ceremonies Friday, hosted by yours truly, celebrating Nebraska Farm Bureau and Nebraska FFA, both celebrating more than a century of service to Nebraska agriculture. Much more from the State Fair still to come during the show, including just how many new FFA chapters there are and what local county has been designated livestock friendly. Now to storms that ripped through Loup County, affecting producers there.
You can just by how the trees were twisted. They weren't just knocked over like a straight line wind. They were twisted with branches gone and just the tree stumps still standing in some areas.
The Loup County emergency manager explains how they can tell if a tornado has hit. And last weekend, at least one caused damage to crops, trees, and pivots near Almeria, west of Taylor. NTV caught up with some residents in that area, checking on livestock, assessing damage.
They're just trees, and we're glad that I just feel really blessed for the family and the friends that even though I wasn't home, calling to make sure that I was okay, and I think all of our neighbors are accounted for, and everyone as far as persons are okay, and that's the main thing to remember.
The worst thing that could have been if somebody lived here and you had lost a life, human life, or otherwise the rest of it is all fixable.
The Loup County tornado has officially been rated an EF2 by the National Weather Service. Harvest season approaches, and the Nebraska Public Service Commission has important reminders for producers. Producers are encouraged to familiarize themselves with Nebraska grain laws. Under the Grain Dealer Act, if a seller wants to ensure their transactions are covered with the grain dealer's security posted with the PSC, they must demand payment within 15 days of completion of their contract. Producers who choose not to demand payment within 15 days after completion of their contract will be creditors of that dealer and forfeit any protection from the grain dealer's security. More information can be found on the Public Service Commission website. Some folks fry up bacon in the name of science. Bacon isn't just for breakfast. Pork dominates in the morning. Bacon also showing up at lunch and dinner, even dessert. But with the increased demand, scientists at Kansas State are trying to maximize shelf life by minimizing oxidation.
Oxidation, that's basically the fat breaking down due to the presence of oxygen in the atmosphere. And so that leads to a lot of off flavors and a lot of customer dissatisfaction with the product. So we want to keep that, we want to keep most meat products oxidatively stable. And so we don't want that oxidative deterioration that will occur.
Scientists at the K-State Meat Lab hope to give consumers more time to enjoy that delicious sizzle in an increasingly diverse marketplace. They're also looking at how much antimicrobial activity different curing solutions have on the product, another tool that could help shelf life. That experiment funded by the National Pork Board. Weighing in on the next farm bill is just a phone call away. Congressman Adrian Smith announced he will host a Farm Bill Telephone Town Hall on Monday, September 11th at 7 p.m. Central Time. It concludes his 2017 Farm Bill listening tour. Smith held Farm Bill listening sessions in Scottsbluff, Aurora, Broken Bow, Beatrice, and South Sioux City this year and encouraged his constituents to weigh in at that telephone town hall. And Nebraska Farm Bureau also engaging producers on the next Farm Bill. That'll happen next Friday at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, September 1st at the Bosselman Conference Center. That event is scheduled from 10 a.m. to noon. Food security is national security, says Steve Nelson, Nebraska Farm Bureau president. And as discussions about the 2018 Farm Bill are underway, they're bringing together many organizations to talk about the thoughts of what has worked in the current Farm Bill and where improvements can be made to ensure a strong and viable safety net going into the future. The State Fair showcases youth at their purple ribbon best.
Stapling and sampling.
Grab me another one.
From soybeans to taxidermy.
We have never had a full bear.
If kids can grow it, build it, make it, or study it, it's on display at the Nebraska State Fair.
Oh, it's amazing some of the things that these kids do.
4-H reaches all 93 counties, and 1 in 3 kids eligible takes part.
10,000 different exhibits that are exhibited by 5,000 to 6,000 different young people who are in the 4-H Club program.
This is a chocolate beet cake.
Everywhere you look, new takes on traditional projects.
Being able to take an old recipe that maybe great-grandma used to use and apply it to our health needs and concerns for today.
More applesauce, less butter. Judges see if it still passes the taste test.
Definitely little nibbles, just enough to be able to judge the item.
Crops are represented, but again with an emphasis on science and technology.
Basic agronomy to pathology, entomology, there's all kinds of different science areas that they can engage in.
The second weekend of the fair brings livestock shows, and those too have evolved, with city kids following in the footsteps of parents who grew up on the farm.
Our small animal numbers are skyrocketing. Young people want to experience in animal husbandry, and that can happen on a beef animal, but it can also happen on a goat.
Judging takes place before the fair.
You want to go backward?
As 4-H leaders carefully haul the stuff kids have been working on.
Plenty of bubble wrap.
From rockets to healthy living, kids showcase what they've learned.
We're teaching life skills, and we're teaching by learning by doing.
Much more coming from the State Fair, including how many new FFA chapters there are across the state and which urban county has been designated livestock friendly.
Hi, I'm Bob Hake in Enola, Nebraska. Come on out to the Nebraska State Fair, support the draft horse shows and all the kids' projects.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kent Zeller. I am one of the superintendents for FFA. However, I would like to say come on out to the Nebraska State Fair and support our 4-H and FFA because they're the youth of the future.